My table saw is an older version of a Delta contractor's table, 10-inch. I removed the overhead guard a long time ago. It did have a splitter on the back, but that's all part of the same unit. Now most of the cutting that I actually do on my table saw are thin strips and thin pieces of wood using a thin kerf blade. And over the years I've been wanting to add a splitter to the back here. So I've purchased the MicroJig Splitter system, which I'm going to now finally install onto my table saw now that I have a few minutes while I'm watching glue dry on another project. First step is to rip a couple of pieces of plywood, a 1/2 inch at 4.5 inches wide. So I've set up my table saw and done a measure. Then I need 2 pieces of the 4-inch wide by 15 inches long. So I've set up my stop block here. So I set my fence at 16 inches because I've got a spacer in here that fits over top of my fence, which is exactly 1 inch. So that'll reduce it. So I just... And we'll mark this as A, and this as B. So measure back 3 inches. Put a line across here. Next was to set the height of the blade to 3/4 of an inch and set the fence at 2 inches. So I'm going to put the drill guide in and screw down loosely so that these little guide can slide back and forth a little. So next is to just slide this in and push right up flush to the end, and then attach the guide to the plier. I'm going to use some self-centering drill bit here to attach the provided screws. So I will be installing not only the kerf guide splitter, but also what we call kerf keepers. And when a piece of wood is cut, this stays in. This actually may come out and stay in the slot to keep the pieces of wood apart. So I will need to slide this guide over to the left side, or sorry, the right side, and tighten down in the slot. I'm just going to insert the zero clearance throat that's been provided by raising it up. So to cut a new slot in the new insert, I just slid my fence over to the left to hold the insert down, and then started to raise the blade, then moved the fence closer and raised the blade as high as it would go. So with the slot cut, I'm going to put the jig back in place and raise the blade as high as it will go. Then adjust the back tooth to line up with the 3-inch mark. The furthest it will go just as that tooth clears. So without any great means of holding this down, I don't have any clamps that fit into the slot here. So I'm going to use my mag switch, a couple of those, pushing real hard. Now with the guide in place and the drill provided, just go right down here and drill. With the 4 holes drilled, I can remove the guide, and I now have my 4 holes in my throat insert. And to clean up those holes a little bit, it just suggests we just chamfer the edge a little bit. I'm just going to use my countersink drill bit just to clean those holes up a little. Well, so give it a dry run here and see how effective it is. hopefully this will reduce the amount of burn marks. You know, when you have, because I'm pushing long lumber through here, I have to push and stop, shift my hands back. So I'm just trying to avoid those marks where you end up with these, you know, sort of burns in places where it's stopped. Because it's keeping the wood apart as it comes out the back end of the feed. This is keeping it away from touching the back end of the blade and burning. Well, that was a pretty straightforward install, following the instructions provided with it. Hopefully it'll keep me safe from the table saw and reduce some of that burn marks that I end up having to sand out. Thank you very much for watching. Become a subscriber. Stay tuned on all the projects that are going on in the Orca Boat Shop.